Liberty Counsel brings you the state of Israel and the things that you need to know. Hi, I'm Shawn Akers, Dean of the Helm School of Government and Vice President of Middle Eastern Affairs with Liberty Counsel. Joining us again today in studio is Dr. Alex Bligh. For those that were not with us yesterday, Dr. Bligh comes to us with a very distinguished career of having been an advisor on Arab affairs to the Prime Minister of Israel and a prolific writer and commentator on a variety of issues, a lot of them dealing with the modern state of Israel and its Arab neighbors. Dr. Bligh, thank you again for being with us.
My pleasure again.
Yesterday, we talked briefly and could have gone much longer about some of the beginnings for understanding the Arab-Israeli conflict. Today, I was hoping that we could move a little more into the modern Arab-Israeli situation. And in particular, you've written a book that examines especially the effects that the media doesn't cue us into, like the effects that it would have on neighbors like Jordan. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I think that you really picked up the best example to demonstrate how we can have peace in the Middle East. I'm a great believer in an interest-motivated peace. If you do not have an interest, then you're not going to have peace.
Right.
And by the way, this is one of the reasons that I believe that the peace treaty with Egypt was no good. I still am afraid that it is not a good treaty, because once you pull back of the Sinai, then there is no incentive for the Egyptians to keep in line with their commitments.
Right.
When it came to Jordan, Israel did not withdraw from one single inch of Jordanian territory. Quite the contrary. What we did was indeed interesting and should be studied. Israel and Jordan first had their peaceful contacts in the modern era, that is, in September of 1960, years before the Six-Day War of 1967. At that time, Egypt and Syria were united.
Right.
Israel was threatened by Egypt. Jordan was threatened by the northern part of Egypt, namely Syria. And both countries, being close allies of the United States, being in the moderate camp of countries in that region, felt that under that threat from pro-Soviet at the time countries, they had to unite their efforts. Now, they could not do that in public,
right.
Since that would have put Jordan in a grave danger out of Egypt, out of the then president of Egypt. And what happened was that Israel and Jordan started a process of secret negotiations that led in 1966 to 3 tracks of secret negotiations. Now, this is really a very rosy picture. But everyone would stop here and would ask, wait a minute, didn't these 2 countries fight in the 1967 war? Didn't Jordan lose the West Bank to Israel? And the answer to that might surprise you. And I'm detailing my answer in 300 pages in one of my books. I will give you the short version. The short version is that King Hussein of Jordan realized how much the Palestinians became militant and how much they would be in a position to endanger his kingdom. And therefore, he wanted to lose the West Bank one way or another. Of course, you may say, well, I don't believe that guy. What exactly is he saying? But I have in my hands a document from the United States National Archives in Washington. These are the minutes of a confidential conversation between the U.S. ambassador to Amman and King Hussein of Jordan, December 31st, 1966. And King Hussein, almost word to word, is saying the very same that I'm saying right now. And indeed, it is amazing. And this is the reason that King Hussein of Jordan never made any effort, nor has his successor done, King Abdullah, to regain the West Bank, what we prefer to call Judea and Samaria. Their only concern has always been Jerusalem. And indeed, up to 1988, they had some representation on the Temple Mount. So as of 1967, or rather 1968, after the war, talks between Israel and Jordan continued as though nothing happened. The king of Jordan met almost all Israeli prime ministers 1963 until his death in 1999. And they worked out everything, including how was Jordan going to behave with the first Gulf War in 1991. Everything
Amazing.
was laid down, everything in secret.
Amazing.
Then, after the Oslo Accords of September 1993, all of a sudden, it was not illegal or illegitimate, if you wish, to talk to Israel. It did not take long, and in October of 1994, the two countries signed their open peace treaty. But this is really formalizing an already existing contact between the two countries.
You know, it's absolutely fascinating, Dr. Bligh, that our listeners follow the state of Israel. They're fairly they understand a lot of the issues. What's difficult to understand is what you're bringing out, and that's, I'm not sure that you can understand the Arab-Israeli conflict without understanding, one, that this is more tribal than it is geographic, and two, that a lot of people don't want to fight. There are a lot of people who do want to find common sense solutions. Jordan has been on the cutting edge of that, to really want to find a way to coexist. And even though we have to flex our muscles and feign some disappointment over Judea and Samaria, that in reality, we all know how things should work out. And Israel has proven time and time again to be the best host government that could be imagined. People experience greater human rights, greater employability, greater profitability than under any of the regimes that would like to topple it.
And more than that, if I may add, in consecutive polls taken among the Arabs living in Israel, you always got more than 90% of the Israeli Arabs preferring to be Israeli citizens than the citizens of a would-be Palestinian state. Now, if they are so nationalistic Palestinian, why not move to their homeland? For a very simple reason. Precisely what you've mentioned. Because in Israel, you enjoy all human rights, all civil rights, all liberties that you Americans and we Israelis are taking for granted. In the Arab countries, look at Syria, for instance. You don't have to do much to be defined as the enemy of the regime, enemy of the state, and I don't have to get into the rest of the gory details.
No, I mean, we're watching Syria play out right now on a live stage, and it shows you what the option is. Help our listeners understand. I've heard you comment on this before. When we see the term Arab-Israeli, what do we actually mean? Because we see certain numbers in comparison of the number of Jewish Israeli citizens versus Arab Israeli citizens, but I understand that the breakdown on that can be a little misleading.
Yes, indeed. All in all, we have in Israel about, give or take, 100,000, 8 million people. 7 million Jews, 1 million Arabs. Now, when you say Arabs, we're talking here some primordial affiliation, meaning that they all belong, supposedly, mythically, to the same father in the Arabian Peninsula, getting out of the peninsula in the 7th century.
Right.
But Arab is not enough. There is a Muslim Arab, there is a Christian Arab, and there are those sects that split from Islam, like the Druze and the Alawites that you will find in Syria. So when we're talking about Arab Israelis, it includes not only Muslims and Christians, it also includes Bedouins,
right,
who are Muslim Arabs, but they used to be nomads in the past.
Right.
So we're talking several populations, subsectors of the population. Now, Israeli Arabs, meaning that they have Israeli citizenship, but at the same time, they feel that they owe loyalty to their Palestinian identity.
Dr. Bligh, we'll pick up with this tomorrow. We've almost run out of time, running against a hard break. But let me encourage you to listen to all of our programs this week. Find out more at lc.org and contact us at any time at 1-800-671-1776.